Right, we're back.
We are, I love this place.
It's almost like you work here or something.
I know, especially this bit. I love this bit.
Hang on, that's not a supercar, is it?
No, it's a bike, it's a super bike.
Yes.
Probably the fastest thing in here.
Probably.
Yeah.
Even with you on it.
Definitely not with me on it. Whee!
So, this got quite good feedback, didn't it, previously?
Do you know what, mate? I don't know why we bothered doing anything else. We should just like do crap on bikes. It seemed to be popular, so I don't know whether it's because people like bikes. Everybody likes bikes.
Yeah.
If you like bikes, hit the subscribe button. So, where did I go? I raced Donington a couple of weeks back. Couple of fourths, couple of fifths, couple of sixths. But I had a big problem with brakes. So I had problem with brakes at Donington track day, and then they first started at Alton. I just lose a lever. The lever come back to barn. I had span adjuster, and I keep winding it out, winding it out, and winding it out. Wouldn't make a difference. And I put it down to, while I was there, the reservoir split because these things bloody vibrate. It cracked and it leaked brake fluid everywhere. So I had to bleed brakes, and I'd run out of RBF 700, which is MoTeC stuff. I'll get some off the shelf in a minute. And I used rock oil, still their high level racing fluid, but honestly, the second I went out, the lever was gone. It was absolute crap.
That's going to be pretty scary as well.
Yeah, the first time it happens, yeah. And then all that happens is you just drag your braking out further and further and further. So you're like braking half down the straight because you know that you don't have that. It's just not there. But the worst feeling is when because I only use two fingers to brake, is when I'm squeezing the brake and I'm like, I'm not stopping, and it's crushing my other two fingers where I just. But I can't use four. My brain's not programmed with the same feeling because I even tried four fingers. So I was going into corners on the brake for four fingers, and I thought I was just going to close the front. I think my I've always braked with two fingers. I always will. So when you try to change how you drive or how you ride, it messed me up. So anyway, come home, bled the brakes. Paul PCR, Paul Curran said that on the road calipers inside the pistons, they've got like they're not quite a plastic, they're like a cartridge, they're like a fiber inside the pistons, and he goes, they've probably started to melt, which then put more heat into the calipers. He goes, we smash them out in the race bikes. On the super stock bikes, we take them out. He said, do that, new pads and new fluid, and give that a try. So I did that at Donington, and it was better, but by the end of the weekend it's still pretty bad. So then I was convinced it was the master cylinder, because the pads, I put new pistons in the calipers, brand new Z04 pads, new fluid, but I was still losing. So this is a master cylinder off an MV Agusta that James Bull lent me while I was there. So he's like 17 years old, mate, mega fast. And they used to ride MVs, so they had a spare one, chucked that on, and I didn't have any problems in the last race, but to be honest, by then my head was fried on the brakes. So I just kind of wobbled round, come home safe. But it felt pretty good. So anyway, come home, Paul goes, right, I'll just send you a package of stuff to put on the bike. He goes, this is belt and braces. So we have got, I tell you what we do, before we do that, let's take these off, because then I can chuck them on the side and I can show you. So let me lean over your shoulder, mate. Grab me socket. So this is a 2020 S1000RR, right? And this was the first year that OMG Racing ran BMWs. This is the bike they ran, or this year, right? The year after, BMW go, oh, we've made a racing special. We've made an M1000RR, so that's the one with wings, right? But I'd already bought this, so I wasn't going to buy another bike, however much I wanted wings, because I think I look a bit like a MotoGP rider. Wings make everything look cooler.
Yes, wings work.
Yeah. The difference between the M and the S was these are haze. So they used to make mountain bike calipers, and where Brembo's owned by Yamaha, who has a massive affiliation with Yamaha, Hayes is now BMW. So if you buy one of their bikes now, pretty much you get Hayes brakes. The difference being, if you bought an M, you got Nissans, you got blue ones. So you can see where this is going.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me get the master cylinder off. All right. So this is just a Nissan. A Nissan. It's a Datsun master cylinder. Yeah. Probably work better then. So I had a standard BMW one on, which I'll get out of the wrapper in a minute and show you. Looks very, very similar to this, but I think it just had enough. Right. So cylinderino coming off. Washer's now in the sump. Right. So we got reservoir, cylinder, one brake caliper, 2 brake calipers, and a brake pressure sensor. All right. So don't trip over anything. Let's chuck that on here so it can leak over everything. Right. Let me get some stuff out of the way. Right, so 2 calipers. So instantly M1000RR brake calipers. So they're going on. Right, so that replaces those. Z04 pads, Brembo Z04s. So they make everything brown, but these are the daddy of pads. It's those or SBS carbons. That's what everyone's running. That is James Ball's master cylinder, but if I get my yellow rag of dreams. So again, this is a Nissan one. Looks pretty identical. So it's got master cylinder bleed. It's got I put the race bolts on, and it's got an alpha span adjuster lever on it. Right. I think I'll just give it a paste in. It probably needs a rebuild, but anyway, you can see sort of how they look, the castings look. They're very similar. They're Nissan items. So we've gone for a Brembo RCS. So it just looks.
Become attached, right?
So it just looks. Well, it is. It's just a motorsport unit.
Yeah.
So whereas there's nothing wrong with these, all we've started to do by racing is start to push the boundaries of components, and that's the next step. And what they're using in BSB is now a step on from that. They use full billet, like they're 4 digits for a little master cylinder. So I've got a new master cylinder, and then I have got span adjuster, cable, and a span adjuster lever. So if no one knows what this is, when you look in British Superstock, British Superbikes, British Supersport, any racing series now, you'll see this on. If you come around the other side, mate, I'll show you. You'll see this mounted about here, right? So you can't do anything. If you've got a manually adjustable lever, which we'll show you when you go the other side, you can't lift your hand off the gas to twiddle your knob, unless you're that kind of guy, while you're going. So what we do is we put a span adjuster on. That cable is like a bicycle brake cable. It's quite thick. Runs out of here into the lever, and so as we're going, if I hold that there, we haven't even got to take a hand off a bar. We just literally do that as we're going, or flick it with your finger.
That's a trick.
Yeah, pretty simple. I have mine kind of like that and pointing that way, so I can literally just roll my finger up and down on it, and that is it. Right? It's not a necessity, but you never know you need it till you need it. And when your brakes start going, that's why we have them, is so we can just keep winding the lever out and winding the lever out to take up the play on brakes when they when the lever starts to go. So that'll live there. You want it as close to your lever as you can. So obviously on my buttons, I've got my traction scroll, I've got traction up and down, I've got traction on and off, all my mode buttons to control everything that's going on, and then I've obviously got So that's the important stuff. And you want it on this hand, because when you're on a straight, it doesn't matter what this hand's doing. We don't even use a clutch lever once we've started because we've got blippers. So that's span adjuster. So that will be connected on the other end of that cable, which is connected to the cylinder. So that goes back on the handlebar. And I'll swap my bolts back over because I use Race Bolts UK. Just because they're fancy. We like fancy stuff. New hoses, and the reason I'm changing the hoses, there's nothing wrong with those, but we've removed the brake pressure sensor. So the idea when we first put these on was I was going to get the Alpha Racing kit electronics, and that's got a MoTeC dash, and then you can wire your sensors in. And I haven't gone that way, so we're just going to remove it as a possible cause for what's been going on with our brakes. So let's put some bits on. The main difference of these is we've got 2 bolts that hold the pads in on these, whereas on these ones, I mean, here you go, right? So that's the pad. You can see how thick the pad material is down to the groove, and like that one's no good. There's Z04s. So like that's like probably after 2 days. And then can you see where the edges start to go as well?
Yep.
So even if you look at pad surface, look, it's completely different.
Well, just change the focus there. There we go. Yep.
So yeah, looks completely different. And then they just pretty much hook in like so. I've got to pop the springs in, but one left, one right. Job's done. Sit it on the caliper. So I'll sit it on like. Like so. Blue brakes.
Blue is very cool.
It's going to clash with me. This is where we find out now that the bolts are too long. Where's my socket gone? Yep. That's fine.
Yeah,
anti-rattle calipers, mate.
yeah, no dramas there.
So, this is a perfect example of tuning, right? Off a BMW, everything's fine. But we've gone to put it together and we have found step 9 of 10 steps is wrong. So now what I've got to do is go and buy bolts that fit. And that is our job. That's day to day. That's every day here.
Yeah.
We've foreseen 9 problems out of 10, and 1 problem will catch us out. Yeah. It's easy to deal with, but again, if you were here now, a customer waiting for this job, sorry mate, I've got all the bolts. And until you know that, you don't. Do you know what I mean? Until you know, you don't know.
Absolutely.
So,
and you're at the mercy of then whoever's supplying them.
Yeah,
know?
that's
Especially
it.
at the moment with getting hold of stuff.
Oh god. Yeah. Right.
But that gives us an overview of what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, if you think that's, let me grab a socket. Is that a 7 or an 8? Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, can't imagine you're going to sit here and watch me bleed brakes, but that's the next step. And so if you were a track dayer, for example, you know, and you were struggling with what I was struggling with, you might go, okay, well, you haven't got to go to all this expense or necessarily, but you know, you can see the first thing you would upgrade is a master cylinder. Now, the reason I never upgraded a master cylinder is because that's illegal in Superstock thousands. So if you go to British Superstock, you can't run that. So I never wanted anything on the bike that would make it illegal in the rules, because what's the point in learning to ride with that, which is going to be a powerful unit, and then jumping back onto that to go and race? But the last time I went a race in stocks, I got my ass kicked. So I kind of knocked that on the head for a little bit until I get a bit faster again. But do you know what I mean? I can't have it for 1 or 2 races of the year. I'd much rather go off and enjoy my riding with this and deal with that problem when I come to it. But that's why I never run an uprated cylinder. I would probably say, come Superstock 1000, you could argue those calipers are legal, because as the bike was homologated for that year, it's not an M1000 and then they're M1000 calipers. Whether they'd worry about me, who's someone at the back sweeping the road while everyone else races around, I don't know. But this is as you go in club racing, not a problem. In Superstock 1000s, that's British Superstock 1000s, that's an issue. So that's why we never did it. But I was tired of getting a red gate, grabbing a big old lease, big old Amphler stopping lever and not stopping.
I can imagine.
So
brown trousers time.
And now your phone's ringing.
That's all right.
So that is, who is it?
It's the boy.
Oh right.
Probably to let.
You should put him on the foot, mate.
Let me know. He's
and we
back
might
from
need
school.
to bleep some stuff.
Yeah.
So we see how this bike video does, and if it does well, we might just turn it into a biking channel.
Happy days. Well, it works for 44 teeth.
So I'm going to go back to ordering some bolts. So
Right.
we will see you
We'll revisit you soon.
next time. See you later, boys.